all charged up and ready to go. This is the first time we've charged the car to 100% capacity. So it's 9:05 a.m. and we're heading out for Tryon Palace in New Bern, North Carolina. We've got the car charged up to virtually 100% of capacity. It's telling us that it's going to be a 2-hour and 28-minute trip, which is up a little bit from our weekend estimates, I'm sure, due to weekday traffic. It's 125 miles down there, and it's telling us that we should arrive with 60% of our battery. So we saw it flash up for just a minute to say that if we didn't charge at all, we could get back home with 17%. Of course, that's an estimate and not actual driving, and doesn't account for any of the driving that we might do hunting for dinner or bathroom or anything like that along the way. So we're gonna stick with our plan of drive down there on US 70 and then drive back on I-40. And we have a little buddy this morning crossing the road non-stop because he knows I'm such a nature lover. We're probably going to wait here just a minute and let him get to the other side of the street. We're just on the little neighborhood street here, and then we'll go on our way.
So we've charged up to 296 miles. The rated range on this is 295, so we're, let's say, at 100%. Well, at 100%, there basically is no regen. So I was scooting down, we just left, and I was scooting down a road that I normally lift off and depend on regen to stop the car, slow the car. But when I lifted off, a little yellow triangle with an exclamation mark appeared on the dash, and the car didn't slow down. I had to use the brake. I had to take my big old foot and move it 3 inches and put it actually on the brake and push it down. God, what a hardship.
So it's much cloudier today than I had anticipated, but that could be good for viewing the gardens down there. Maybe we can enjoy the roses and things without being in the sweltering heat. We've come through some construction here on Highway 70, but nothing that slowed us down. However, it kicked us out of autopilot a few times, primarily because on Highway 70 we don't have automatic lane change, and Don needed to change lanes a few times. And there comes the rain. Yeah, that was really sort of not in the forecast, but oh well. We thought this complete 360-degree loop was interesting. Wow, so there's a Lidl over here, and where are we now, Kinston?
Yeah.
We're gonna see if autopilot is slowing the car down for the stoplight up here.
I got my foot over the brake. Yeah, it did it.
Yeah, so autopilot's brought us to a stop here at this red light. It works great when you're not the first car, because of course autopilot doesn't really know about the red light. It just knows the car in front of us is stopped.
I needed to stop. There was no pass and go. There was no collecting $200. I was about to pop. The car, 184 miles of range left. It didn't need to stop, but I needed to stop. It's been 2 hours and I had to pee.
And you drank coffee this morning.
I had coffee this morning, my normal amount of coffee, no extra water, but 2 hours, that coffee, it had to go.
We're here. The trip output information since last charge in the blue rectangle shows that we went 118.7 miles and used 38.5 kilowatt hours to get to Tryon Palace in New Bern.
So we have gotten to New Bern, to the Tryon Palace, and the car did great. We're here with 60% range left, which is what before we left home it had predicted. So it predicted, and the actual turned out to be the same. We've been averaging 337 watts per mile. It says that we have, if we drive the same way home as we did to get here, it says we have 174 more miles of range left if we continue to drive at the 337 watts per mile. It's only 125 miles home, so in actuality we don't have to go to Warsaw and supercharge to make it home. We could just simply go home now. So we can drive from our home to New Bern and back. And I would say we could probably run around 10-15 miles inside of New Bern if there was, you know, if we wanted, there were other places in this neck of the woods we wanted to go, we could certainly do that. So I'm very pleased with the range. I mean, it's worked out well, charging to 100%. You know, we've got plenty of range to do what we want, but we are going to still go to Warsaw, which is taking us 16 miles out of our way. In other words, the round trip without going to Warsaw was 251 miles. The round trip going to Warsaw is 267, I think it was. So it's 16 miles more out of our way to go to Warsaw and supercharge. But then we'll get a little free electricity that way. Hey, second electric vehicle I rode in today. This is pretty neat. Little torquey, this little thing. It scoots. Reminds me of my ex.
I unplugged it this morning when I got in, but the afternoon person will plug it back in.
So
there's a plug on the back.
Is it a public charger for just anybody or just these vehicles? Yeah,
just these vehicles. Just looked like a plug.
Oh, okay. All right.
So how long does it go on a charge?
It goes all day.
Okay.
But they have to charge it overnight.
Sure.
For it to be good. We used to have what was really elongated golf cart. I mean, a lot smaller than this. And sometimes it wouldn't go the whole day on a charge. Sometimes by 3 o'clock, it was starting to die.
Well, we're asking because we drove a Tesla. Yeah.
Isn't it Airy Bed and Breakfast that has the charger?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I thought.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, way cool.
All right, it's right around the corner. There it is. So I was surprised to learn during the movie at the Visitor Center that this is a totally new restored building on top of the original foundation.
Back in the 50s.
In the 50s, no less, 1950s. I guess it burned down sometime in the 1700s and the only thing left was the stables.
1798 or
1798, Donnie says.
Like that,
Yep.
And it was basically vacant. The stables survived. They used it as a stable, and then eventually the stables were turned into a apartment building. And finally in the 50s, the ladies group in the area, the ladies club, got together and got a hold of the property and raised funds and stuff and restored it.
Well, that's impressive. Yep.
I'll be your guide, and I hope everyone is aware you're going to tour a reconstructed building. If you didn't know it, you know it now, right?
Yeah.
The first palace that was built here in 1770 actually burned in 1798. It was not rebuilt at that time. Our capital moved to Raleigh, was there for over 4 years at that point. So this one was built in the 1950s, between 52 and 59. John Hawkes was the architect of the original palace. We had his plans when we built this one, and we're right on our original foundation, which I'll point out to you when we get to the cellar. We even had an inventory that Governor Tryon had created after he left New Bern to furnish it. So we think this looks about as close as we're ever going to be able to get it. And fortunately, it's the only building that burned. The 2 wings were saved because the townsfolk were able to knock down these colonnades to connect those wings. So they survived the fire, but the kitchen office over here did not survive the ravages of time. So it is a reconstruction, just like the palace. The stable wing, however, had lots of uses over all those years. The very last one was an apartment building. And at that time, it was stuccoed over, had a big front porch on it, and 4 chimneys stuck out the top. Didn't look a thing like that building.
Huh.
When they cleaned all of that off, though, they found the majority of the original brick. So we've restored it to the stable it was intended. Have any of y'all been in there yet?
Yes.
Just
You
glance.
agree with me?
Yeah.
Any horse ought to be proud to live in?
Yeah, it looked like a real stable.
It did.
So we just completed our tour inside Tryon Palace. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was
really good.
We had described to the boys in the morning phone call that it would be sort of like touring Mount Vernon in Washington, D.C.
And it really was.
It was a smaller version, but very similar.
Yeah.
The lady, older lady that gave the tour, she was quite delightful, reminded me of my grandmother Jenny.
Yeah.
I felt like I had gone back to my grandmother's house there for a while, so it was really enjoyable. So we're walking the Tryon Palace Gardens, and we found this very interesting maze area. It's the most formal of the gardens that we've walked through. Very pretty. So far we've really dodged a bullet today on the weather. It's slightly cloudy, not over 90 degrees. It is quite humid, however, and at this point it hasn't rained. But we're the only ones out here, and it's just really peaceful. There's some gorgeous, I believe these are Turk's cap lilies. You would see these growing up along the Blue Ridge Parkway a lot. They're just stunning. Very pretty. A lot and a lot and a lot of coneflower in this garden, which tells me there aren't any deer around here, because if there were, the deer would have eaten all the coneflower. It's just very relaxing out here. Nobody else out here right now except for me and Dawn. I expect if I was governor and my garden looked like this, I'd be right proud. We also toured the John Wright Stanley House, which was moved to its current location near Tryon Palace as part of the Tryon Palace restoration efforts. The pictures in the Stanley House were taken in quite low light. Unlike Tryon Palace, the Stanley House and its contents are quite original. Notice the fine mahogany and hand-carved moldings. A short walk away, we toured the Dixon House. Mr. Dixon was a tailor. He claimed to be able to make you a suit in under 12 hours. This house is in its original location. Mr. Dixon made a fortune in his lifetime and also lost it as stores and the Industrial Revolution infringed upon his business. right, so we've been having just a little bit too much fun with this photo booth thing. It's pretty cool.
This building, did you notice the big clock above the entrance? This clock was formerly housed in the tower of the New Bern City Hall. For almost 100 years, the clock welcomed visitors to New Bern and kept local citizens on time.
So we asked some of the local people at the Museum History Center where to go, and they said to come to MJ's, which was just a couple of blocks over. So here we are. Donnie says he wants fish and chips. I'm trying to decide. Probably fried shrimp. So I did end up with the shrimp, and we ordered some onion rings, and Don's got catfish. Yep, catfish and fries. Yum.
Or something.
Yeah, peanut butter pie. Dinner was really good, and I bet this is going to be really good too.
Alligators.
A lot, apparently.
Okay, well, down here. Wow. I think that's a real bell.
I agree. Oh, look, there's a bird nest way up top up there.
I see that bird's nest way at the top on the letter bay. Yeah, well, ain't nobody gonna go up there and say shoo away from there.
Where do you guys,
Fuquay, just outside of Raleigh.
Yep, New Bern is the home of Pepsi Cola.
So,
All right, there's a picture of the original pharmacy counter. Wow, Pepsi Cola established 1898. I knew pharmacists were responsible for concocting lots of things, but a pharmacist created Pepsi Cola. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
A lot of rain out there in the state right now. Hoping that the way we're coming north and going west, the rain is going to scoot south of us here at the Warsaw Supercharger. There can be some nasty storms come down I-40 out of Raleigh.
Did you get that?
Yeah, I sure did. Although I'm swerving around too, so I don't know how good you can see it, but
Yeah, that was the second time it's now misjudged. That was a combination of topping a rise, and on a curve, and so it was following the lane, so the roadway dropped away from it. It has. I had it. Did you get that?
I did get that. Yeah, I think I aged a month there.
Yeah, that was the first supercharger oh crap moment.
All right.
Auto steer, oh crap.
Yeah. And it alarmed itself.
Yes, well, I had a hold of the wheel. They said when it goes up a hill
And it goes
the
over
road
that.
drops away on the other side, it has a tendency to pull to the right. And then all of a
Okay, we'll do this here.
So autopilot, when it tops a hill and the road drops away, and we're on these back roads, so the grades elevation's changing pretty quick. We topped a little rise, and then the road immediately dropped off. Well, when it topped to the rise, the road dropped. The autopilot turned to the right and almost to the shoulder, and then all of a sudden it saw the lines because the front of the car was going down the hill now, so it caught the lines, and it says, oh my goodness, I'm in the wrong spot. So it says, please take the wheel. It beep 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 beep, take the wheel, and it gave me the steering back instantly. That was the first time it's ever done that. Well, which is fine. I had my hands on the wheel because, as I said, we've been going through this thing, and autopilot's been, I'm not saying struggling, but let's just put it this way, it's been challenging. And I'm relatively confident probably no other Tesla driver's been down this road yet. It's possible, but I don't think so.
Oh, they're all lit up for us. I didn't get to see them lit up when I was here a couple weeks ago. It's so welcoming. Yeah, and you have to back in, and you have to be basically all the way back, or you won't reach.
Of course.
So Don and I are here at the supercharger in Warsaw, North Carolina. A planned but not totally necessary trip. We had enough range to get back to the house with not a huge comfort margin, but we could have made it back.
Yeah, I think we left with we had a 125-mile trip with 173 miles of range. So we could have made it, I think, comfortably with no concerns whatsoever. But I have not supercharged. This is my first time at a supercharger, so I sort of wanted to swing by the supercharger.
So we've gone over to McDonald's, used the facilities, and we're fixing to unplug and get back in the car and continue on to the house.
Right.
There's a lot of rain out there tonight. Lumberton supercharger, from what we could tell on the radar, is really having a severe thunderstorm, but here it's just a little rumble and a little drip. So we've reset our charging percentage, it's an estimate, but back to near 80% where we usually charge. So it took this charging time to full charge down significantly, but also we've sat here for a few minutes now, and you know, we've got plenty. We're like 50, 60 miles from the house. So we've got plenty to get home now. And so we're gonna go ahead and unplug and head on down the road. We started supercharging around 7:55 p.m. and ended at 8:15 p.m. That was just how long it took us to walk over to McDonald's, use the facilities, and get back to the car.
Part's over.
So when we got here to the supercharger, we really meant to grab the trip information screen before we plugged in, and we forgot. So, you know, just call us newbie supercharging mileage range junkies. But yeah, it's really kind of a shame that the car threw out the since last charge, of course, is 0, and the current trip is, of course, 0. So that little leg from New Bern to the supercharger, we sort of lost the information there.